welcome to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode number 76, part 2, the calm before the economic collapse. And let's get right into it. All right, let's move on here. Now, New York Bloomberg latest target of ricin letters. Now, this tells me one thing and one thing only, that a false flag event for gun control is coming, and they're starting to build the case of letting everyone know that it's people that are pro guns. And basically, investigators told the New York Times they believe both. Now remember, you have to read their words. Investigators told the New York Times they believe, they're just guessing, they have no evidence. Both letters were sent by the same person. The second letter was addressed to the Washington building that hosts Mayors Against Illegal Guns, a gun control lobby group Bloomberg helps lead. The writer in the letter threatened Mayor Bloomberg with references to the debate on gun laws. So here we go. They're starting their case. They're saying, oh, look at pro-gun people send ricin letters. Pro-gun people are crazy. And this is the beginning stages of them setting it up for some type of false flag to get the gun bills that are pending in the Senate to be passed. And this is why this thing was brought out right now. Now, in California, Senate approves 8 gun control bills, including ammo registry. And I do have a video, and this was in the Sentinel Alerts, that also a sheriff spoke about this. And here, let me just read some of these to you. A ban on standard capacity magazines that hold more than 10 rounds, a bill that places erroneous restrictions on bullet buttons, a bill that would reclassify certain shotguns as assault weapons, a bill that required all gun buyers to take a firearm safety certification class, and there was another one here, the SB 374, which, as the NRA noted, essentially bans the sale, purchase, and manufacture of virtually all semi-automatic rimfire centerfire rifles that do not have a fixed magazine, and requires those who currently own such firearms to register them with the state. And also they're saying that ammo vendors would be required to obtain special permits to sell ammunition, and they also want the ammunition registered. So basically, a sheriff came out and told this hearing that it is completely unconstitutional. It is, and I like the way he did this, that it's infringing upon the Second Amendment. And I've said this over and over, but the right to bear arms is bear is carry, arms is weapons, ammunition, armament is military weaponry, and infringe is to limit, to encroach on, to undermine. So the sheriff came out and said that you are infringing, all of these laws are infringing on the Second Amendment. And he is completely right. They are infringing on the Second Amendment. These laws are null and void according to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, Second Amendment, boom. Our founding fathers made it so simple that you can't really screw it up. But guess what? No one pays attention. No one knows our Bill of Rights. Nobody knows what's going on, so they just go along with it. Okay, let's move on here. Now, I see DHS has put in to purchase more ammunition, and it looks like they're buying all different types of rounds, 4,000 rounds, 1,000 rounds, and they're buying the .45 long Colt. They're buying 22 long rifle, and they're buying many different types of rounds of ammunition. And again, the only reason they're what do they need this for? Because if they're really a terrorist organization to stop terrorists, well, first of all, they're doing a terrible job. Second of all, they never have any terrorist alerts, so why do they need the ammunition if there's never a terrorist alert on their website? What do you need the ammunition for? They had no idea that the Boston bombing thing was going to happen, even though that was set up, and that's why they did have an idea, but they couldn't say anything because they were behind it with everyone else. But they had no clue. Didn't even come out or anything. They are not put in place to capture the terrorists. They are put in place to spy on Americans with their fusion centers, to control Americans before, during, and after the collapse. And this is the special police force of the federal government that has nothing to do with the military, that can work with local law enforcement to keep order and to keep people locked in during martial law. That is all they're here for. And okay, now let's move on here. Now, there was a cyber attack that targeted Australia's spy headquarters, and it goes on to say, despite sophisticated cyber defenses, the layout and location of computer networks inside Canberra's spy agency are now reportedly in the hands of hackers. And again, they're just building their case. And I know I talk about America having a cyber attack, but other countries will also have cyber attacks, and this is basically all the Western central bankers. It's a way to get everyone, the last ditch attempt, and to get everyone angry, up in arms, and have them go to war, steal their money, steal the people's money from the banks while the cyber attacks are happening, declare martial law in cities and in many different jurisdictions, and to keep the power out for a prolonged period of time so the people get very angry and actually push to go to war. And this is the reason for these type of cyber attacks, and this is why they keep bringing it up, because they want everyone to know about it. They want everyone to keep hearing it. It's a incremental brainwashing day after week, after month, after year, and before you know it, the government will say, we told you about this, we warned you, and look what happened. Now we're being attacked, and look what happened to everybody here. And it won't just happen here in America. It's going to happen in Europe. It's going to happen in Australia. It's going to happen here in America. It's going to happen in many, many places. It'll happen in Japan, and this is to get the people behind the government, which is controlled by the central bankers, to get them all rallied up to start this world war, so they can cover their big collapse of what is coming, and they know it. And right now, as you can see, the stock market is going up. People think the real estate market, I mean, I have people, friends and relatives, who are now looking at homes, who are looking to upgrade into a better house. And these are the people that still have their jobs, no reduction in salary, still making the same amount, and they feel like the interest rates are very low right now, and the housing market is booming, and now it's time to move into a more expensive home, which I personally think is the worst move. But when you try to tell people this, it's very, very difficult, because no one's going to listen. Listen. Back in 2004, 2005, if you weren't awake, 2006, 2007, and you weren't awake, you were buying a home. You were thinking everything's perfect. Everything's great. Things are just going to keep going up, 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 up. I'm going to keep getting raises. I'm going to keep having my job. Everything will be looking great. And this is the calm right before it tumbles. And this is what everyone is experiencing. It's like, Peter Schiff, I have to say, it's like a junkie. We just gave everyone the drug, and the Fed is drugging everyone, and everyone's feeling the high right now. But sooner or later, the drug wears off, and everything comes crashing down, and people will then feel it. And it's going to be a crash. People will feel it. They'll give a little bit more drug, they'll feel high again, and then boom, another crash. And this is when people are going to really not understand what is going on. I mean, we're seeing suicides now. The suicide rate is going to triple when this major crash hits. People are not going to know what to do when this happens. People are going to starve. People are going to be homeless. People are going to, rob, steal food, break into homes. It really is not going to be a pretty scene. I mean, if you look back at the Great Depression, the amount of people that were homeless, the amount of tent cities, the amount of people that would do anything to feed their family, the same thing is going to happen now. And especially when the dollar is no longer the reserve currency, and Americans have to experience what it's like not to be on top, it's going to be very, very difficult for a lot of people. I mean, I've seen it with people. I've seen the way they react when a small little glitch in their everyday lives, when it happens, they can't handle it. And this is not a small little glitch. This is something that's huge, and people will not be able to handle what is coming. But there was an interesting article about 10 things government can do that would land you in jail. Now, these are things that government can do, but you can't. So, now, this article goes on to say, do you still believe the government represents the people? Are you part of the majority that generally wants the government to do good things? Now, what they're saying here, spying. Citizens are also increasingly being arrested for filming police or public buildings under wiretapping charges, of all things. But guess what? Under the law, the government is allowed to spy on you without warrants or anything like that. Insider trading. Yes, you will serve jail time like Martha Stewart. And guess what? The politicians voted themselves exempt from insider trading laws. It must be nice to be exempt from the peasant laws. Just think about what they've done here. And everyone's saying, no, this is America. We have our Constitution. We have all our rights. Everything's good. No, people don't see all our rights have been taken away. And now it's becoming apparent that things are different between government people. Like, I'll give you an example. The rest of the country has to do Obamacare. But guess what? The people in government want to exempt themselves from Obamacare. Now, they're the ones who voted it in for all of us. And they don't want it? Think about that. Hacking. You will go to jail if you hack into someone's cell phone or email account. The government, on the other hand, has legalized wiretapping and hacking to keep us safe. Again, no regard for the Constitution, any of the amendments, or the law that's put in place. They're just overriding everything. Kidnapping. Kidnappers are some of the most deplorable criminals in society, yet the government engages in organized kidnapping. So, basically corrupt family courts stripping children from their parents for things like legal medical marijuana or attending a protest, and the NDAA authorizing indefinite detention for suspected terrorists and associated forces proves the government are kidnapping people. And what happens if we did the same thing? We would go to jail. Stealing. Do you know that if you're suspected of a drug crime, the authorities can confiscate your property? It's called civil forfeiture, and police departments make millions from this practice. And what happens if you don't pay your property taxes? Extortion. Some call taxes a form of theft, which it is, but it's more appropriate to call it extortion. It's no different than paying protection money to your local mafia. Counterfeiting. Between the Fed continuing to bail out failed banks, to the tune of $83 billion per month, and the fractional reserve banking system itself, the government, via the Fed, can print as much money as they want with no restriction. It's a monopoly money, literally. Counterfeiting is a serious crime for anyone not sanctioned to do it. So basically, we've sanctioned the Fed, not we, but the government has sanctioned the Fed to counterfeit. So, assault, whether it is spraying protesters like bugs, acts of police brutality that populate YouTube all day long, or government-sponsored torture committed by agencies like the CIA, the government has proven more often than not to be above the law in every area of assault that would put a normal citizen in jail. Murder. In the real world, you cannot carry out a premeditated murder without going to jail. But this is exactly what is being done with these drones. They are killing innocent Americans along with the supposedly terrorists that were in the building or in the area. And the problem with this is that government does not have a problem with killing Americans or just killing people, just ordinary people that might be in the same location. Put yourself in their place. If you were sitting in an office building and you saw a drone heading towards the office building because there's a terrorist on the second floor and you're sitting on the third floor, and the missile hits the third, right between the third and second floor, and you pass away, or you know a friend that died, here in America, what would that be? Murder. But we're doing this in other countries, all in the name of safety. And again, what Thomas Jefferson said, and I will read what he said because they knew what was happening. They knew what was going on. And Thomas Jefferson, this is what he said. I've read this before, but let's just do it again. I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. They must stop trading liberty for security. They must stop thinking the role of government is to be involved in all aspects of their lives. They must take a good look at what the proper role of government is. They must understand that as government expands, liberty contracts, and we see that right now. And we also see we're trading liberty for security. The government is best which governs least. They understood this. They already came from a problem. They already fought to get away from this. And here we are again doing the same exact thing. Listen, everyone. Right now, everything's being pumped up. This is the calm. This is the quiet time before the real collapse hits. Just like previous to 2008, you see everything on the outskirts, and you see all the problems that are just hovering and waiting to happen because they're going to happen. The same thing was being seen in 2006, 2007, and 2008. There is no difference. The only difference now is that we understand what is coming. Those who are still sleeping don't. And it's very hard to convince, just like it was back before 2008, for people to convince there was a credit problem, a housing bubble, and things were happening. So stay the course. You are right. Things are not getting better. So what you need to do is get prepared for this upcoming collapse. Make sure you have food, make sure you have water, make sure you have medicine, toiletries, anything that you need to get prepared. Yes, gold and silver is important, but we need to make sure you have things that you can survive on. Now, on Saturday, I will not be doing the news brief. I'll be on the road still, but I will be updating the Sentinel alerts on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Listen, everyone, thank you very much. Be safe, be well, and especially be prepared. Thank you.